Since God is sovereign, omniscient, omnipotent, and he's going to do whatever he wants anyway, then why should we bother to pray? Since he already knows what we need before we ask, why ask? Why does he say in James 4:2, you have not because you ask not? These are some questions to go with me here. Why does he say that only those who ask receive, seek and find, and knock it's open? If it's God's will to open the door, why does he have to wait until we knock to open it? I wanted this little simple illustration because I just want you to think about this one little simple thought and take it home with you and chew for the next few years. If this door represents his will about something, let me say this. If the opening of this door represents my need and my great desire, and the opening of this door is his will, why doesn't he just open it? He can open it. It's his will to open it. He knows I need it open. And he knows how to open it. Why doesn't he open it? He's God. He could just a little breath and the door open. He wouldn't have to turn the doorknob, just open the door. Why is it that the opening of this door, which would be his will, is governed by my knocking, which is my prayer? Why? Now, on my little journey, I met a new friend just a few days ago. He's an old friend, but this is a new word he just gave to me. Watchman-nee. Oh, this has just torn me up. Can I read you some stuff that I read this last week, 2 weeks ago, that sent my mind spinning? Will y'all go here with me? I'm going to need your thoughts, so don't let your mind drift. Watchman-nee says, here we see a principle of God working, which is that God's people must pray before God himself will rise up and work. His will is only to be realized through the prayers of those who belong to him. The prayers of the believers are to accomplish his will. God will not fulfill his will alone. God will not fulfill his will alone. He will perform only after his people show their sympathy and prayers. Such being the case, it can therefore be said that prayer, watch this, is none other than an act of the believer working together with God. Prayer is the union of the believer's thought with the will of God. The prayer which a believer utters on earth is but the voicing of the Lord's will in heaven. Prayer is not the expressing of our wish for God to yield our petition and fill up our selfish desire. It is not a forcing of the Lord to change his will and perform what he is unwilling to do. Heaven forbid. And I learned that in my own journey, what the most effective prayer is, in fact, really the only effective prayer is always praying the will of God. So that's what he's saying here. You're not going to pray and get God to change his will. Right? Okay, now go with me. No, prayer is simply speaking out the will of God through the mouth of the believer. Before God, the believer asks in prayer for the Lord's will to be done. Now, this is huge. So prayer is really only coming into agreement with the will of God in heaven to bring it to the earth. That's what he's saying. And whenever you are praying the will of God, and God is answering your prayer, it's only because he's really foreordained that. That's what his will has always been anyway. All right? But watch this sentence. He says, prayerlessness Not praying, though, does affect a change. Because God will let many of his resolutions go suspended due to the lack of his people from prayerful cooperation with him. Yeah. So when you don't pray, it does affect things. Yes. You're not praying is affecting way more things in your life than you can fathom. Scripture right here. In Matthew 18:18, Jesus said, "Verily I say unto you, whatsoever things you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatsoever things you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven." Who said that? Jesus said it.